I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Turnitin.com and Canvas. Now, if you're new to high school, you might not know about Turnitin.com. It is a website that checks student work for plagiarism. Most of the colleges use it, and some high schools use it as well. Everett Public Schools, high schools definitely use Turnitin.com. Now, we have the ability to use Turnitin.com inside Canvas. So if you turn in an assignment in Canvas, we can use Turnitin.com to check that assignment for plagiarism. I'd like to show you what it looks like on my end as a teacher when you turn in assignments to Canvas and we check it with Turnitin.com. So if I open your grades in Canvas, it looks pretty much like any other grade book. On the left-hand side, I'll have a row of student names, a column of student names, and then there are columns of scores for various assignments. Now, you can see at the top here, we have an assignment that we did recently where we analyzed a character. STEAL is an acronym for a method of analyzing characters. And several students have not turned this in, which isn't great. But Canvas color codes these for me. Anything that's pink was late. So for example, this assignment came in, but it came in slightly after the deadline. Given that we had a lot of snow days, I'm cutting you guys some slack on that. So that's all kind of obvious. But you'll notice that over on the right here, for every student who turned in an assignment, there is a colorful tab. Those tabs tell me the status of the similarity analysis through Turnitin.com. So let's take a look at one of those assignments. You'll notice that most of them are blue. When I open your assignment inside Canvas in SpeedGrader, I'll see your assignment on the left side of the screen, and then to the right side of the screen, I see something like this. It tells me exactly when you turned in your assignment, and I have the opportunity here to assign a grade, which I have for this assignment. And then this is the Turnitin.com analysis, and you'll notice it says 0%. This is probably the only time in high school where it is good to get 0%. 0% means 0% of this student's assignment is similar to anything else Turnitin.com can find, whether that's on the internet or in their own archives. So 0% means 0% plagiarized, 100% original. This student did his or her own work, which is great. So why is this one green? We've figured out that blue is the best you can get, so green must be not as good, right? Now, normally we think green is a pretty good color. Green is go in traffic, right? So that seems positive. So let's take a look at this assignment and see what happened here. All right, so if I open this assignment in Canvas, in SpeedGrader, I have the option of taking another step and opening the assignment in Turnitin.com. And if I do that, this is what I see. And under the similarity analysis, I can see that these phrases, these highlighted phrases here, also show up somewhere else in another source Turnitin.com found. Now, looking at this, I can see the student is writing about the Hunger Games trilogy, one of the most popular book series for teens in the last 5 years. I'm sure a bajillion book reports have been done for teachers about this book, so I'm not at all surprised that these particular phrases have shown up in other students' work. I can tell that these are just identifying the title of the story, title of the series, the author, and the name of the main character. None of the rest of this student's assignment is plagiarized or comes from another source. So I don't think this student actually plagiarized. This is fine, right? This is the sort of similarity that happens by accident when people are writing about the same thing. So this is not plagiarism, right? Now, if I was worried that it might be plagiarism, I might go deeper into the analysis that Turnitin.com offers me. So I can see, if I open the tab on the side or the bar on the side, that 6% of this student's paper is similar to another source. That's a pretty small percentage, especially on a short assignment. So I'm not really worried that this student has not done his own or her own thinking, right? But if I was, I could dig a little bit deeper and find out exactly what websites Turnitin.com thought this might come from. And you can see it lists several of them right here. Now I can click on those and it will open up an overlay right up here over the top of my student's assignment. Now, this is that website that it said was similar to my student's assignment. So I can see similar phrases here. I can tell that this is from a blog post. It's just another student who's writing about this book, and he just happens to use a couple of the same phrases as my student. So I'm not concerned that my student plagiarized, but this does give you an idea of what teachers can see when we check your work versus the other things that Turnitin.com shows us. So what color is that tab when the student has plagiarized? It's green if there's a low percentage of similarity, and that happens really frequently if we're writing research-based essays and you're quoting other sources on the internet. Turnitin.com will tag those and say, hey, this part comes from another spot. It has an option for teachers to say, hey, if it's in quotes, don't count it as plagiarism. But I don't usually do that because I want to see what you're putting in quotes and where it comes from, right? If you're quoting more than 20% of your paper from another source, it's going to turn up as yellow or possibly red. And then we have a red one here. So let's take a look and see what happened there. That indicates that there's a very high amount of this student's paper that is similar to other sources on the internet. Now, if I open that student's paper in Canvas, it shows me that 87% of that student's paper is from another source, right? 87% of this student's paper is the same as other sources on the internet. So if I go into Turnitin.com, I can see that this student has pulled information from 3 different sources, right? 36% of the student's paper is from this one, 27% from this one, 24% from Shmoop. Now, I actually know what Shmoop is. It's a book review site. It helps students understand text. It's very similar to SparkNotes or PinkMonkey.com or CliffsNotes, any of those sort of learning aids. So if I look at the student's actual writing, I can see that a good deal of his assignment that he's working on here comes from other sources. Now, Turnitin.com actually tags what parts of the student's assignment come from which source. So this and this are from the first source, this is from the third source, and this one is from the second source. So it's interesting here that what he or she has quoted from Springboard isn't marked as plagiarism. So clearly they don't have the Springboard text in their banks. So I happen to know Shmoop, so I'm going to click on this one and see what it says. All right, so I can see in the overlay here that this is exactly word for word from Shmoop. The tone of the terrible tales in the ode seems to show the course is beginning to really pity Antigone. It's almost, the student has almost pulled that entire sentence into the text here. So what happened? I think what happened here is that this student was researching the answers to the questions in the assignment and has pulled some information from various sources. I actually don't think that the student's intention here was to plagiarize, but is this plagiarism? Actually, it is, right? And the reason it is because this student has not cited the source. It is completely okay to go look for research on the internet if your teacher allows you to do that. But anytime you are using other people's words or ideas, you have to cite the source. There's no exception to that. If you're using somebody else's words or ideas, you must cite the source, either parenthetically or in an introductory tag, just like we talked about at the beginning of the year. Right? Now, the other thing you need to do in order to get credit for assignments that ask you to do your own thinking is do some of your own thinking. Now, it's fine for you to quote another source and say, hey, Shmoop said this, but then you need to include commentary to explain why you think that information on Shmoop supports your answer. Why does the information you quoted support your answer? What do you think about that information? That's how you get credit for your own work, to do your own work. So please remember when you're using the internet that is a double-edged sword. Certainly the internet is a great resource for students who want to find information that's going to help them answer the questions their teachers are asking. But remember that teachers on the other side of that also have access to the internet, and we have some pretty sophisticated tools to help us check your work and see how much is yours and how much you're pulling from other sources. Remember, always, always, always cite your sources. always, always, always